Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to our news channel. Students, today we are going to talk about two major topics. Okay, so first is about first is actually what's happening out on the oceans, and one that's happening inside our very bodies. That's right. So we are talking about the world's first global carbon tax on the shipping industry and India's role in it. And then we're going to talk about a huge scientific achievement, the the Genome India project, which just revealed new secrets hidden in the DNA of thousands of Indians. Okay, so get ready for a deep dive from cargo ships and climate change to chromosomes and genes. Okay, let's go. Right. Imagine, students, a giant container ship. It is sailing across the ocean. Now, this looks peaceful, right? But what if I told you that those ships released a lot of pollution into the air? In fact, the shipping industry, which transports nearly 90%, yes, 90% of the world's goods, is a major cause of greenhouse gas emission. And this year, something incredible happened. India, along with 62 countries, 62 other countries, voted for a new global rule. What's the rule? First ever carbon tax on international shipping. Okay? So, this decision was made by the Nations agency called the International Maritime Organization, or simply IMO. So, this happened after a week of serious negotiations in London. So, what exactly is carbon tax? Okay, and we're going to learn about why does it matter. Students, let's start with basics. Carbon tax. Acha, when we hear the word tax, we know what exactly is tax, है ना? So it's sort of a fee, right? And it is charged against something. So carbon tax is also a fee that is charged when someone releases carbon dioxide into the air. Why? Because CO2 is a major contributor to global warming. So, by making people pay for polluting, it encourages them to switch to cleaner, greener technology. Okay? And now, for the first time, this idea has been applied to the entire global industry, the shipping industry. Okay? So, from 2028 onwards, what's going to happen? Cargo ships that don't reduce their emissions, they will have to pay a carbon tax. And ships that switch to clean fuels, they're going to save a lot of money. Hai na? So the idea is simple. Pollute less, pay less. Pollute more, pay more. And in fact, this tax is expected to generate up to 40 billion by 2030. Now that's a lot of money. But what will it be used for? The answer is all of it will be used to decarbonize shipping. Decarbonize. I'm saying the word decarbonize. Yes. So decarbonize का मतलब क्या होता है basically? Uh, that means making ships more eco-friendly. Okay? So that they use better fuels, technology and practices. Right? But students, with introduction of this tax, not everyone is happy. And some countries, especially small countries, small nations, small island nations in the Pacific, Caribbean, and poor countries in Africa and in Central America, they wanted some of the money to go toward climate finance. That means helping vulnerable countries fight against the climate change rise and the rising temperature. Because of this, because we know that climate change, it's initiates a sort of cycle, है ना? We get to see rising sea levels, cyclones, and droughts. So these nations, they wanted some of the money to go towards the financing of for climate conservation. And these countries were quite disappointed because the final deal did not include support for broader climate needs. And countries जैसे तुवालू हो गया, okay, so they even said the plan lacked transparency and it did not push hard enough for clean energy. Okay, तो ये भी इनका कहना है। और साथ ही साथ अगर कार्बन टैक्स की बात करें तो इट इज ओनली एक्सपेक्टेड टू कट शिपिंग एमिशंस बाय 10%, by 10% by 2030, while the IMS goal is at least 20%. So there's more work need to be done कि कार्बन टैक्स से तो वैसे भी सिर्फ 10% ही रिड्यूस होगा, राइट, लेकिन गोल तो 20% का है। सो गेस हु अपोज द डील? Countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, UAE, Venezuela, all rich in oil. They worry the tax could hurt their fuel-based exports. Of course, they're gonna worry ना, क्योंकि उनको लग रहा है कि भाई हमारा business तो ठप हो जाएगा ऐसे. And the United States, they didn't even participate in the vote. But India, along with countries like China and Brazil, said yes. And that's a big step toward global cooperation on climate action. Okay, so what have we learned till now? This carbon tax shows that countries can work together for the planet, even if they have different needs and opinions. And it also reminds us that the Earth's climate is a shared responsibility. ऐसा नहीं है किसी एक individual country का है. No, it's a shared responsibility. And even ships sailing far from our shores can affect our future. All right. So now we have gone from oceans to air pollutions. So let's head deep inside into the world of genes, DNA, and mutation. And all thanks to India's latest science success story. So what happened? Students, have you ever wondered why some people have curly hairs and others straight? Or why certain diseases are common in communities but rare in others? है ना, कभी कभी ऐसा आपने न्यूज में भी सुना होगा कि कोई एक पर्टिकुलर डिजीज एक पर्टिकुलर कम्युनिटी में कॉमन है लेकिन इट इज एब्सेंट इन अदर कम्युनिटीज, राइट? द आंसर्स आर हिडन इन आवर DNA. Yes, DNA. The unique code. It's a sort of code. Okay? Code that makes each of us who we are. Okay? For example, कि अगर पेरेंट्स के जो बच्चे होंगे उनकी हाइट क्या होगी, उनका हेयर आई कलर क्या होगा, उनके हेयर कर्ली होंगे, स्ट्रेट होंगे, right? It all these information are stored in DNA, and that is why we, although we all are humans, still we have different characteristics, we have different physical features. Okay, so what happened this month? Scientists published the first findings of the Genome India project. Okay, साइंटिस्ट ने जीनोम इंडिया प्रोजेक्ट की स्टडी जो डिटेल्स है वो पब्लिश किया. अब इसमें क्या खास बात है? See, Genome India, this was a major study that attempted to study the whole genomes of 10,000 healthy and unrelated Indians from 83 different population groups. Okay, so it's a major study जो 10,000 Indians की DNA के बारे में उन्होंने रिसर्च किया, ऑब्जर्व किया. And these 10,000 healthy and unrelated Indians were taken from 83 population groups across the country. Okay, so that's right. From the Himalayas to the Nilgiris and from the tribes in Northeast to villages in Gujarat. They cover it all. Okay, but question is, what is a genome? Students, every human has 3 billion letters of DNA. Okay, हर एक ह्यूमन में वी हैव 3 बिलियन, मिलियन नहीं बिलियन, 3 बिलियन लेटर्स ऑफ डीएनए, डीएनए in every cell. Yes. And this entire set of instructions is called genome. Okay. So it decides everything from how tall you might grow to whether you have dimples. So all this information is stored in a set of instruction called genome. So if we're going to study genome, scientists are able to find rare genetic mutations. They can understand how diseases spread in communities, and they can even trace back our evolutionary history. Okay, तो कि कैसे ह्यूमंस इवॉल्व हुए थे. सो ये सारा कुछ किसमें किया गया? जीनोम इंडिया प्रोजेक्ट में. Okay, now when we talk about Genome India project, this was launched in the 2020 January, and Indian government का जो department है, Department of Biotechnology also funded this program, and it was a collaboration of in fact 20 institutions जैसे IASC हो गया, IGIB हो गया और बहुत सारे other institutes जो इन्होंने इस project में collaborate किया था. Okay, so what they did, they collected blood samples and health data like weight, height, blood pressure, waist size from 20,000 people, 20,000 people across India. And from these, they sequenced the genomes of 10,000 people. ओके तो 20,000 लोग सेलेक्ट किए गए, उसमें से 10,000 का जीनोम सीक्वेंस्ड किया गया. एंड हेयर्स समथिंग कूल which is related to this. They made sure the participants were all unrelated so that they can avoid repeating genetic data. And they even included parent-child pairs to find new mutations that might appear only in the child. So super smart, right? Now, from these thousands of genomes, what scientists discovered? They discovered genetic variation, okay, and chromosomes. And get this, about 98% of our DNA, 98% of our DNA doesn't code for proteins. Okay, so it still affects our body, right? 98% of our DNA, although it doesn't code for proteins, but it still affects how our body works, right? तो बहुत सारी चीज़ों के बारे में पता चला, जैसे अ, अ, जैसे कि कई बार हमें इंडिया के जो ये जो 10,000 लोग हैं उनके बारे में जब सीक्वेंस किया गया तो ये पता चला दे हैव सम हैव यूनिक जीन पैटर्न्स which also makes certain rare diseases more common in specific groups. ओके तो ये सारा कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन साइंटिस्ट को इस स्टडी से पता चला. नाउ व्हाई दिस मैटर्स टू यू? See, India is one of the most genetically diverse countries in the world. But until now, it was underrepresented in global genetic studies, which mostly focused on यूरोप. तो जो अभी तक जो जेनेटिक स्टडीज होती थी वर्ल्ड वाइड वो सिर्फ यूरोप पे ज्यादा फोकस होती थी. इंडिया में ऑल्दो वी हैव मोस्ट जेनेटिकली डाइवर्स population, but still it was underrepresented. Now, with Genome India project, India it actually this project has put India on the global genetics map. ओके तो इससे क्या होगा? इससे डॉक्टर्स और साइंटिस्ट को पता चलेगा कि कुछ डिजीजेस जो अर्ली उसको अर्ली डिटेक्शन पता चल पाएगा, पर्सनलाइज ट्रीटमेंट करा सकते हैं, है ना, एंड लो कॉस्ट जेनेटिक्स टेस्ट विल बी कंडक्टेड. सो इट्स अ स्टेप टुवर्ड प्रिसीजन मेडिसिन. प्रिसीजन, प्रिसीजन मेडिसिन का मतलब क्या? जहां पे ट्रीटमेंट इज नॉट जस्ट फॉर एवरीवन बट फॉर यू, बिकॉज वी ऑल आर डिफरेंट. तो हमारा जो ट्रीटमेंट है वो पर्सनलाइज्ड होना चाहिए, प्रिसीजन होना चाहिए, राइट? सो विद दिस स्टडी it can happen, right? So basically this project it's a step towards the personalized treatment only, right? So, what have we learned today? We learned that the world is finally asking big polluters like cargo ships to pay for the damage they do to our planet. And then we learned that our genes, tiny as they are, they carry the history of India, its people, and its future in medicine. Okay? So that's all for today, students. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends, classmates, teachers, and families. And don't forget to subscribe for more episodes. Okay? So until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep exploring. Bye bye.